with a little bit of comedy there. That's become something that I'm putting on the back end of a lot of my videos anyway. The whole "you shot my arm off" and then "thought this was America." Because I think Randy Marsh was onto something when he started questioning whether or not we were living in America. Welcome everybody to what I'm going to try to start doing on weeknights. My intention is to not take up a whole bunch of your time, but to work diligently, excuse me, to get about 10 or 15 minutes of content in every single night. That's a quick recap. Excuse me, too. I just downed a bowl of food. Like literally, as my ticker was clocking down, I looked up and I saw 54 seconds to go. And I was like, oh, come on, man. I had a hot bowl of food that I was trying to eat. So, excuse me, nevertheless, bunch of things happening. I hope I can wrap this up in 10 or 15 minutes and not waste a bunch of your time. I would like to hurry up and give some shout outs to you guys who are in the room. I very much appreciate that. James Starks, Danny988, Johnny 3 Bar, Rose Blight, Midnight M3, Doc Holiday, Condor 19, Titanic Natural Tradition, One Love Design, David Holston, Mitch R, Sick Lane, let's see, Woodsman 35, Screaming Skull Saloon, Ron Williams, Mike U. I think I said Johnny 3 Bar already. FU, American Warrior, Young Reppin, Martin Son of War, NC Former, Billy Slagle, and Charlie Don't Serve, Tim Moore, Mr. FNH. What's up, guys? That's a quick heads up to all you guys. Good to see you all. Thursday, we are on the slide down to the weekend. Those of you that have a long weekend ahead for Labor Day weekend, kudos to you on that. That's great. Look, I want to mention some things. I put a video out last night, and a lot of you guys gave me some really good advice. It was a video on, well, it was actually on a whole bunch of stuff, but it was on what the ATF is now describing as their Operation Reticent Recall, which is, of course, now as we know now, a formal operation in trying to round up or entrap people, however you want to look at it, people who have gotten force reset triggers and, of course, solvent traps. So the questionnaire was leaked. Don't have the questionnaire yet. I know I mentioned that in the video that as soon as I could get my hands on the questionnaire, I would get that out to you guys. I do not have that right now, but the questions from the questionnaire certainly came out and were divulged. Things along the line of, and these are like kind of almost like a training checklist for an ATF agent to ask people who have an FRT or a solvent trap. How did you learn of or locate the seller? These are specifically people that are being questioned via Gunbroker. So that's why it says, how did you learn or locate the seller? What was your payment method? How was the package labeled? Blah, blah, blah. Really intrusive type questions, but ones that are meant to intimidate and make a person think that there's a true investigation going on, even though there can't be, because technically these people have broken no crime because there is no law against the things that they purchased legally. So I put out a video. One of the main people on the video, excuse me, not on the video, one of the main people on Gunbroker who is selling tons of information. They have tons of other information besides just that, but was Rifle Remedy 2000. That's a name that has come up time and time again over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I mentioned that John Crump had narrowed it down to a good 3 people who had the bulk of these types of sales that have resulted in questioning via the ATF, with Rifle Remedy 2000 being the top one. We don't have any numbers, of course. I don't think anybody has any actual numbers, but the bulk and the majority coming from that. So we're trying to piece all this together and find out how all this is coming about, how it's coming out, who it's coming from. I think we all want to know, and we want to know how it got here, because the ATF does not have the authority to do half the stuff they're doing. So we want to know where they're overstepping. Of course, you would, I guess, for argument's sake, you could say that the entire Operation Reticent Recall is an overstep, obviously. So nevertheless, I made some suppositions of what I thought was going on. I mentioned that Rifle Remedy 2000 was either a plant from the ATF and was operating, they were operating the account, or that maybe he had been compromised via the ATF and was a legitimate seller, and the ATF had gotten him and intimidated him, forced him to give up all of his sales records because they obviously had all the information they needed. Somebody had to give those records up, I guess is my point. I say give them up. Either they were given up by GunBroker or Rifle Remedy 2000, or else the ATF infiltrated some kind of a database to steal all that information, which is illegal. So, I mean, there's no other way. There's not an additional person. It's very unlikely, although possible, but very unlikely, that every single buyer of a force reset trigger or a solvent trap just happened to voluntarily give all their information to the ATF so that the ATF could then use to turn around and call them to intimidate them into giving their stuff up. Possible, very unlikely. So nevertheless, that's going on. So a lot of you guys had sent me some information about William Kirk in Washington State, who has the, gosh, I feel horrible because I want to make sure I get his YouTube channel correct. I wasn't, while I'm looking for it, I'll mention real quick. I was able to talk to William earlier today. Great guy. Enjoyed my conversation with him. And Washington Gun Law. If you're looking for his videos on YouTube, it's Washington Gun Law is the channel name. So check that out. So William was kind enough, since he's the one that has the, I guess if you want to call it a rapport, somewhat of a rapport with Rifle Remedy 2000, he actually reached out to the gentleman Rifle Remedy 2000 and asked him if he'd be willing to talk to me. And as luck would have it, literally just a few minutes ago, Rifle Remedy 2000 did text me and said that he's going to call me. When we get off of this live stream, I'm going to reach out to Rifle Remedy 2000 and ask him a bunch of the questions that we've been wanting to ask him. But thank you to William Kirk for setting that up for us, because William Kirk was the one who had the contact information and had the relationship built already with him, and that was enabled us to therefore get in touch with him. So again, Washington Gun Law on YouTube. So if you guys would reach out to him via his channel, subscribe to his channel, like his videos, and you might want to go ahead and look at the video regarding Rifle Remedy 2000, because there's some good data in there. I actually looked at it today. Again, so many of you sent it to me last night, so I laid in bed last night, not having the opportunity to come back out and put another video together and say, hey, I'm working on this. I'm trying to reach this gentleman. So I felt bad about that, because my video is just sitting out there looking like I'm completely ignorant. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me on that. And for those of you that pointed me to William and his firm and his YouTube channel, I appreciate that, because that's very helpful to me. That's how I was able to get in touch with him today, and did in fact speak to him. And that's how we're going to get to talk to Rifle Remedy 2000. So again, kudos to everyone out there for the help. This is some breaking news. May not apply. Some of you may not feel like this is important, but it is. This is coming from John Crump. Again, as always, you guys check out John Crump News. Again, John Crump News. John doesn't have enough subscribers, guys. There's no way this guy, and John and I are friends, and we talk about a lot of stuff, and John should have way more subscribers. I know his channel is new. I get that. It's a new channel. So, I mean, it takes time, right? But he should have way more. John has some great information, some breaking information. We get a lot of our intel from him. And I mean, I think you owe it to yourself, because there's stuff that I don't cover that John might put out. So you'll get it all from John. So I'm not trying to get you to not watch my channel. I'm just trying to get you to watch John's as well. So again, John Crump News, if you guys want to check that out. And John also does a live stream most nights too. I'm not trying to step on his toes here. I don't know what time he does it, but I think Monday, or I know Monday through Thursday, he does a live stream. So you may want to check that out as well. Anyway, John sent this to me minutes before we went live here. This is a Project Veritas is the one who clearly got this information, because their logo is plastered all over this, but it's a legal bureau bulletin that is apparently a leak from the state, more notably the city of New York. And it goes on to detail what their intentions are as far as not complying with the Bruen decision with the Supreme Court. These guys are intent on infringing on every single person in New York. I'm not going to read this all to you because I'm going to put a video together on this. If I don't put this video out later tonight, it'll be tomorrow because there's 5 pages to go over. I want to read a little bit of this so you guys can appreciate what we're talking about here. Now, before I do that, I want to tell you guys the reason why I think this is important to all of us. It's like everything else. Somebody has to set the precedent, right? Once these guys give the middle finger to the Supreme Court and say, we don't care what you say, we're writing all of our stuff anyway, and we're doing it however we want to in our state, in our city, however we want to. We don't care what your ruling was. Once one city, once one state does that, then the next city goes, huh, it worked. And the next state goes, huh, it worked. This is going to be, best way I can describe it, as a cancer if this is not dealt with. That's why I think this is so important and so critical. Do I ever plan on stepping foot in the state of New York, let alone that city of New York City? Hell no. I'll never go back. They can bring me back in an urn with ashes full if they want to, but I'm not making a conscious decision to ever step foot in that city or that state ever again in my entire lifetime. No desire to. No desire. If I win a lottery in New York, I'll drive to New Jersey and stand at the state line and they can hand it to me. Nothing for me in the state of New York. However, this is the kind of stuff that even down here in the South, I'm in Louisiana, all it takes is for us to get one wacko governor. We got one that's just about there right now. We could get one worse that would try to implement something like this. The city of New Orleans, oh yeah. You don't think that when New York City is successful in infringing upon everybody's carry rights, their Second Amendment rights, this wacko lady Cantrell in New Orleans down here in Louisiana will absolutely adopt this exact same thing. She will copy and paste it. Let me tell you some of the things on here. Key points. They actually write these points out. The first point says possessing a firearm in New York City requires a special license issued by the New York City Police Department. Hey, there you go. I mean, you're already violating the Bruen decision. Carrying a firearm in New York City requires a concealed carry license issued by the New York City Fire Department. Notice they're not saying a may issue or a shall issue either, because this is a may issue. This is not a shall issue. So that's why they don't specify that here. Anyone carrying a firearm is presumed to be carrying unlawfully until proven otherwise. Do you see what you understand what they just said, right? I got to read this again. Anyone carrying a firearm is presumed to be carrying unlawfully until proven otherwise. Do you think they wrote that just to piss people off? Seriously, I mean, even a person who doesn't want to carry a firearm, if you understand the law, innocent and proven guilty, just that quick phrase, innocent until proven guilty. And then you read a phrase that says presumed to be carrying unlawfully until proven otherwise. That is a direct slap in the face of people who believe in innocent until proven guilty. It's almost like they purposely did that to piss everybody off. Next up, they say license holders are required to carry their license when carrying a firearm and must provide their license to law enforcement upon request. Recent changes in law do not impact the way officers conduct investigative encounters. Officers may stop an individual when the officer has reasonable suspicion that an individual is carrying a firearm and may frisk that individual since the officer has reasonable suspicion that the individual is armed and dangerous. You know what they're doing, right? They're resurrecting stop and frisk. You guys remember stop and frisk? That's a very, very divisive, polarizing policy that they had in New York City. Some people love it. Some people hate it. But it was absolutely an infringement on your Fourth Amendment rights. It was absolutely an infringement on that. It was an invasion of privacy, no matter how you looked at it. And that is what they are telling you right here that they are going to do. They are resurrecting that policy for people that they simply suspect. It doesn't say whether you're printing, whether you're waving it around, whether you're brandishing it, if you're sitting on a bus stop cleaning it. It doesn't state any of that. It says if they suspect it. Well, guess what? I suspect people from the ATF of being a bunch of jackasses. Do I have proof? Well, in some cases I do. but I don't have proof that they all are, but I suspect it. So these people can suspect that you're carrying. If you wear a shirt, well, this is probably not the best one. If you wear a shirt that says "Come and take it" or "Come and get it," if you wear a Gadsden flag on a shirt, anything like that, and they see that, they suspect you of carrying now. And by this decree, they actually can stop you and frisk you to see if you are, in fact, carrying. And of course, if you are, they will consider it unlawful and they will throw you in jail. Now, there's a lot more to look at in here, a lot more. They actually go in here and talk about sensitive and restrictive locations. It's the entire city. And I mean, they literally, I mean, look, these are the locations. It's the whole city. I put an old video out. I say old, it's a few months old, where I took an interactive map of New York City and I clicked on, you can actually click on areas and it'll highlight those areas for you. And I actually clicked on each one that they had named in another thing that they were planning to put out. And by the time I got done, the whole island of Manhattan was pretty much covered. There were like a couple of blocks here and there that were not covered. So their intent here is obviously to make this to where if the entire city of New York is not covered, at least there's going to be enough spots and holes to where you're going to have to cross over illegal areas to get into a non-illegal area. And of course, the thing I'm always fighting against, and I know some people have a problem with me when I do this, but I'm going to stick with my guns anyway, because I believe in everybody being treated evenly and fairly. I don't like classism. I don't care what your special requirement is. I don't care if you are a Green Beret. I don't care if you're a police or special forces. I don't care if you are a captain of a police organization. I don't care if you are a retired SWAT team member. Doesn't matter to me. You are still the same as me. I'm none of those things. You're still the same as me. They create all these classes for exceptions of people who can carry. Off-duty police officers, retired police officers, active police officers, licensed security guards, armored truck guards, judges licensed to possess a firearm while in the course of their official duties, corrections officers in the course of their official duties, active duty military personnel. Are you kidding me? Look, no offense to the active duty military personnel, but I would be willing to bet that other than the special forces guys, clearly those guys are in an elite class all by themselves, still not to give special privileges to, but nevertheless, they're in an elite class as far as skill sets using weaponry. Active duty personnel, I'll bet you most of the people who are on this live stream right now are more equipped to properly handle a firearm than most active duty personnel. This shows you the level of ignorance of these people writing this. They somehow think in their mind, because there are firearms in the military, that, oh, everybody just must have this amazing skill set to be able to handle proficiently and effectively and safely firearms. That's not the case. Same goes for police officers. Police officers are qualifying at most twice a year. So unless you had some kind of an event that you had to use your firearm for, you're only grabbing that firearm to clean it if you're made to clean it, and to qualify twice a year, maybe 200 rounds tops. Split that down the middle in two different settings. That's what you're doing. How many of us go to the range almost every single weekend? How many of us do side jobs or other work to get extra money just for ammo so that we can go to the range? But you're creating classes in here that there's this weird perception that these people are more proficient and safer with firearms than we are. They can be trusted, but you can't. I will never understand that. The state of Louisiana passed a thing last year, this year, in this year's session, to allow active duty military to carry firearms. I don't agree with that. And I'm a Louisianan. Great for them. Great for the military people. Does it do anything for me? No. Again, I'm going to say this, and I never pat myself on the back. There was a very good chance that I'm more proficient with my firearm than most people who were enlisted. And it just drives me nuts, guys. I don't agree with classism in any kind of way. I don't care if you were a judge, a doctor, a lawyer, a dog catcher, a bailiff. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care what your role and what your job was. It's just a freaking job. In most cases, it's a piece of paper hanging on a wall, and it's a little tag that you have right below your name that says what your position and what your title is. I don't care about that. Can you shoot a gun? Can you operate it safely? Are you proficient? Do you do everything right? That's what matters to me. I don't care who you are. None of that matters to me. And that's what drives me insane about this kind of stuff. So they're pushing all of this. So you're going to look for a lot of this, guys. I doubt I'm going to do this video tonight because I think there's so much to go over right here. But I cannot stress enough when everybody says, just like I said, I'm never going back to New York. It's not the matter of being there and these laws applying to you when and if you go. It's the very fact that these are going to trickle down to everybody else in other states. Obviously, it's going to pollute the larger cities in these other states. So you might be in a perfectly red state. Louisiana is a very red state. You got about 3 different areas, urban areas, New York, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, that have blue dots on them. The rest of the state is red. But this can absolutely happen. And you know why it matters? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I don't live in those cities, those big cities. Doesn't matter to me. If you live in a state that has big cities, in my case, my son has special needs. I have to drive to Houston to Texas Children's Hospital to bring my son there twice a year. I'm driving into these zones that are very likely to adopt this kind of bull crap. So I'm going to be susceptible to getting thrown in jail because I brought my son to a hospital and I wanted to be safe. And that hospital just happens to be in an area that is not safe for Second Amendment supporters to be in. That's why it's important. We do not live on an island by ourselves. For every reason you think you will never be in one of those heavier populated areas, you may be. You might be. You might have, well, a perfect example also. We're talking about cancer. A lot of my family members have been stricken with cancer over the years. Luckily, my immediate family, we haven't. So the best cancer clinic in the South is the Mayo Clinic over in Houston, Texas. If I get a family member that's sick, so what now? I'm going to drive into downtown Houston. Downtown Houston. You've seen the Houston in the news here lately. The guy that set the houses on fire this past Sunday and waited for the people to come out and shot at them when they came out the door. That's Houston, Texas. You want me to go to downtown Houston and not carry a gun? Are you kidding me? I'm not doing it. That's why it's so important, guys. That's why we can't sit back and go, screw New York. I ain't ever going there. New York City, I'll never be there. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I don't plan to go back. Never expect to be there. I'm more worried about the Houston, Texases that are by me, the New Orleans, Louisiana, the Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Heck, I work with Gun Owners of America. Gun Owners of America, they go to all the state capitals. Our state capital in the state of Louisiana is in Baton Rouge. It is I'm not going to cuss on here in case any of your kids are listening. It is a S-hole. Baton Rouge is. It is a dump, an absolute dump. I ain't going to Baton Rouge and not carrying a gun. But I know the people who are on the city council in Baton Rouge, and I know who our current governor is, and I know who the mayor is over there. Trust me when I tell you, Baton Rouge will be one of the cities that adopts this. Trust me. So now that means every time they're in session at the Capitol and I need to go over there, I have to disarm myself before I drive into their city. Unbelievable, guys. That's what scares me. That is what scares me. Again, New York, not worried about geographically the city or the state. I could care less about those people. It's this doggone show me how it works. And then everybody else goes, nobody did anything. Let's try it. It's like every other unconstitutional law that's out there. It's just a copy and paste. Red flag gun laws, if you've read one red flag gun law, you've read them all because they just copy and paste them. Why do they do that? Because whenever they're successful in one particular area, they go, can you email that over to me? And then they just simply copy it and they paste it into their own stuff, bring it to session, vote it in, and next thing you know, it's law. So this wording, word for word, your city or your your state or your larger cities in your state will not be coming up with their own stuff that fits your particular state. They're simply going to take this, copy and paste it, and implement it into your areas. I know a lot of us are safe. The city that I live in or the area I live directly in, we're not going to have that. I feel very confident in that. Well, you guys know as well as I do, there are cities and states that go from red to purple to blue, blue to purple to red. I mean, stuff evolves. Demographics change. Different types of people move into areas. Different types of people move out of areas. You get tired of an area, you move out of it. What does that do? You got a certain class of people that might be being left behind that might allow an area to turn blue all of a sudden. So I don't think anybody can sit on their hands right now and think that this is not going to affect them in some kind of way, even in the future. Many people in the very near future, look for your Californias, your Hawaiis, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Washington, Oregon. Look for all of those places to adopt this immediately if there's not a major pushback. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's the pushback? Who pushes back? I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I don't know where this goes next. The way I understand law is in order for you to push back on something like this is that somebody has to be wronged. Now, I know that you've got Gun Owners of America, Firearms Policy Coalition. Those guys are really good when stuff like this comes out of filing suits. So my guess is you're going to see people file suits right away. But in so many cases, somebody has to be wrong. There has to be somebody that was the person who was done wrong and had their Second Amendment rights violated by this and probably gets locked up. Like this guy, we're talking about the stop and frisk. It's probably going to take a guy getting stopped in New York City, frisked, and of course they find a legal as far as him. He legally purchased it and is carrying it. But in the city of New York, they're not going to find it legal. So they're going to lock the guy up. Then he can file suit against the city of New York and the state of New York and do whatever he's got to do. And hopefully it makes its way to the Supreme Court if one of the other courts don't rule effectively or properly. So again, that's a very dumbed down look at the way I recognize the law. I'm not an attorney, don't want to be. I know some, and that's about as close as I get to it. But that's how I understand it. I would say look for the folks like Gun Owners of America and Firearms Policy Coalition to file any suits that can be filed. Anything that is out there that could be filed, if it's available to be filed against this, they're going to do it. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't even have to question that. It's a matter of when, if it's something that can happen. So guys, keep your eyes out on that. I think it's all stuff like that, you could very much see some things like this that affect so many of us in different pockets of the country. And I hate seeing stuff like this. I really hate seeing stuff like this because I feel like we already have so many fights on our hands as far as protecting the Second Amendment and the Constitution in general, that I feel like when there's something like this that takes up more of our energy and our resources, it's watering down our efforts in other areas that we want to be fighting in. You never know when it's something like this. And who knows that it's not even planned like this, where they're over here trying to hit us with some kind of a assault weapons ban. And then they hit you with this. You get all fired up about this. Meanwhile, they're over here making deals in back rooms for an assault weapons ban. Next thing you know, it passes and we're like, holy crap, what happened? You see what I mean? Timing of all this is really, really suspect. I think that Congress will be coming back. Wish they'd stay gone. Congress will be coming back to work, if you want to call it that, in the coming weeks. So look for some of the things that they're doing, man. I don't know. Somebody has to speak out against this. I don't want to take our eyes off the prize. When Congress goes back into session, watch everything they're doing, because it makes me wonder if this isn't just some kind of a ploy out there to get us pissed off and looking in some other area when they're just trying to secretly or quietly, I should say, not secretly, pass another law. And we're like, oh, how did that pass? Well, we weren't paying attention. So that's where a lot of guys like, your John Crumps, Jared with Guns and Gadgets, Arm Scholar. That's where a lot of these guys out there that You know, I never asked you guys just to look at my videos, and I mean that. I want you guys to look at everybody out there. I will tell you that none of the mainstream media, in my opinion, is trustworthy. I don't watch them anymore. I don't listen to them. I get all of the data that I'm going to put out on a video from reliable sources, really reliable sources, not Billy Bob X29's Nintendo 64 on the internet. No, legitimate sources out there that are giving us information that we can trust, and we put that out. That's why it's so very important for you guys, in my opinion, to continue to look at videos, not just mine, but all of those videos out there, those trusted, reliable people. And I've actually talked to some of those guys about putting together somewhat of a list of YouTube channels that we feel like, as a group, that we feel like are trustworthy. Because there are, look, for every one legitimate YouTube channel out there, there's 60,000 that are garbage, not telling you the truth, and trying to just get clicks and views and all that kind of stuff. Do we want clicks and views? Obviously we do, but we want them on the backs of good data and good intel. We're not just going to put it out there. So we're kind of talking about doing that now, to create a list of people that you guys can kind of manage and watch, so that you're not wasting your time surfing and looking for all of that. Because again, mainstream media is totally distrustful. And that goes for the Fox News too. Those guys there, they have changed. They are not the same organization that they used to be. People who actually speak the truth on there get bumped out of there. I saw where Laura or Lara Logan, whatever you want to call her first name, people call it differently, Lara or Laura. I saw where Fox, either she's been let go from Fox News, or they're not putting her back on TV for whatever reason. From what I understand, she spoke the truth on some controversial topics that she wasn't supposed to. And I think some of them might have even been COVID-related type topics, but not just that. It was some other ones. And Fox News just got to the point where they kicked her to the curb because she was speaking too much truth. So they've changed so much. They've become so much like all these other organizations out there that have a certain marching order, and they're just going to stick to that. They don't want anybody else getting any other information. So much of the stuff that we put out on all of our videos, you guys can vet that stuff. In many cases, we're going to put links where you can go find that stuff, and you can verify these things on your own. You ever find it funny that a lot of the stuff we talk about never winds up on mainstream news? And you guys are vetting that yourself. In other words, you're finding it, and you're seeing after we put the news story out, you guys are vetting that data, clicking those links and going look at that data and verifying it and validating what we've put out there. But you still don't see it on mainstream media. Yet you know it's true. And yet you know that it's been confirmed and verified. And it still doesn't wind up on any mainstream news outlets. You ever find that suspicious? I do. I often do. I often look at something that, well, this New York thing, you're not going to read about this anywhere. Maybe you get a Tucker Carlson, maybe on Fox News, might put something out on it. I'm not dogging the guy. He's one of the few that would put something out on it. Other than that, you're not going to see it anywhere. You're certainly not going to see it on the news portion. Like I said, you may see a guy like Tucker make a story out of it and put it in his show. But as far as on a ticker or something like that, you're not going to see that. Not one single mainstream outlet will have this on it tomorrow. Now, Project Veritas, they'll put it out. They'll find one of those other non-mainstream outlets like PragerU or, oh gosh, I forget some of the other ones now. Now I feel bad because I can't remember some of the actual legitimate ones. Ben Shapiro will put it out. So you're going to find it in other areas out there. But there won't be, if you get your news from television, you won't hear about this. you ain't gonna hear a peep out of this on television. So anyway, guys, I know I kept a lot of your time. I apologize. That's 34 minutes. I'm trying to keep this short. I'm gonna try to do this daily and put something out there so we can all kind of be abreast on what's going on out there. I've got to do this real quick before I leave because a bunch of you guys have been very respectful to me, and I do not want to be disrespectful to you guys. I would like to say, and as I'm scrolling through here, I want to make sure that I make it very, very clear. I never expect you guys to make any kind of a donation to me on this channel. Do I appreciate it? Absolutely. You guys have no idea. I am one of the humblest people in the world. And when you guys make a donation to my channel, I don't even know how to express myself, my thanks, because I don't feel like it's necessary, or I don't feel like I've earned it, because I feel like you have to earn any kind of praise and all that. And the fact that I've got people like, let's see, Augusto Mimachat, donated some money to me and said people need to vote in their local sheriff's election. Absolutely. The only democratically elected law enforcement office. Absolutely. Well, he made a donation to my channel. He doesn't realize how much I appreciate that. So did 2A EDU. 2A EDU said, hey, man, I will see you in a month in Georgia. Keep up the good fight. I will see you over there. I'll definitely be down there at the Iraq Veteran 8888 range shoot. So we will definitely catch up at that point. Thank you so much for the donation to the channel. My point to you guys is that I don't expect this, and you don't have to do this. Just by being on here is a big reward to me. I mean, that's a lot. One Love Design, thank you so much. Says, thanks, Paul. I love your energy and enthusiasm. Well, look, you guys are the ones who give me that energy and enthusiasm by being here. If 2 people were in this room, do you think I'd be doing this? Probably not. Let's see. I want to scroll down to some more, you guys. Let's see. Rose Blight. Thank you, Rose. I really appreciate you, Rose. Rose says, I've been saying this since I heard what New York is pulling. The Supreme Court should have marshals go in and arrest politicians violating the rulings for contempt of court. I totally agree with that. I've often said, John Crump and I had this conversation a month ago. I'm like, so who polices this? When people violate the law driving down the road or in my front yard, somebody polices me. Who polices the people breaking the law at that level? Nobody. It's got to go through the courts. So they get away with it until somebody, and then somebody's got to file suit. So if nobody files suit, they get away with it. Also, Wes, thank you so much, sir. Wes says, thanks for all you do, brother. Man, you have no idea. I appreciate you guys again being here. That's the reward for me, is you guys being here. I don't want you all to, anyone to feel like you've got to give any kind of donation. Same goes for David Jobs. David Jobs, thank you, man. I appreciate your donations as well, brother. And let's see here. I do not want to miss anybody because I don't want to be disrespectful. Whistling 2000, thank you. Daniel, thank you as well, sir. Again, Whistling 2000 and Daniel, you guys are you're the best, man. All of you guys are. So Screaming Skull Saloon, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Again, you guys do not understand how much it means to me. Buckeyed Patriot, thank you. Andrew Gagner, no, let me back up a second. Buckeyed Patriot says, stay the course, brother. You as well, my friend. And I know you will. Andrew Gagner says, brother, I'd buy you a coffee if we were in person. That's all. Stay well. Guys, I am trying my best to try to get out more and do some kind of like meet and greets and stuff like that. And that's where, look, the one we had in South Carolina last month was awesome. And if any of you guys are on there, you guys have no idea how much fun I had at that thing. It was a blast. We all drank a couple of cold beers, ate some food, talked about the Second Amendment, talked about other things. It was a great time. So my goal is to try to get out into other areas and do that. CNT Designs and Arms. What's up, brother? Says, keep calling out the BS, brother. Here is some gas money. Bring me a po' boy on the way up. Hey, I'm going to have to do that, man. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Let's see. RM Faye says, so glad I found you. Thank you for your news. Again, thank you for being here. You guys are why I do this. I honestly mean that when I say that. Again, if nobody watched, I wouldn't put this out. Why would I? You know what I mean? And finally, Chaos Control says, hold on, I just scrolled up. Need a collab with the 2A 3D printing community. That's not a bad idea. Excuse me. Reach out to me. My email address is paul@LegallyArmedAmerica. That goes for everybody. If you ever want to send me anything, paul@LegallyArmedAmerica. Send me information. If you got somebody I need to talk to, if you got some news you want to talk about, or like this, the 3D printing community, if you got anything that you think would add value to what we do here, and that if you think other people in the group would get value from that, reach out to me, paul@LegallyArmedAmerica.com. Guys, thank you so much for spending your evening with me. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm going to try to do this again tomorrow because I'll have plenty of stuff to talk about tomorrow. I'll have another video out by then. So I'm hoping to get this out tomorrow and do some more stuff. So hopefully I'll see you guys then. I'm going to go eat another bowl of food. I'm still a little bit hungry. So hopefully you guys can go enjoy some time with your families real quick. And tomorrow is Friday. Again, it's the beginning of a long weekend, hopefully, for most of you guys out there. So obviously one we all want to be safe and have a good time on. So we'll talk about that tomorrow night. Guys, have a great evening. We will see you all hopefully tomorrow.